Have you ever been in a restaurant and then you look over at the table next to you and the whole family is just quiet? Not the good kind of quiet, not the we just ordered and we're settling in kind of quiet. I mean the kind where everybody's got their face down and you can see what they're looking at if you lean in a little. The daughter's on Instagram scrolling. The son is texting someone. Mom's got a recipe open she's never going to make. Dad's reading a financial headline. And every once in a while, one of them makes a sound. Not really a sentence, more like a thought or just to acknowledge that somebody else is at the table. But nobody's actually there. I saw this recently, and I want to tell you, I wasn't even worried about getting caught staring at them because it wouldn't have even registered. I could have pulled up a chair and eaten their breadsticks, and I don't think anyone would have noticed. There's an episode of Big Bang Theory in season 7. It's episode 12 if you want to find it, where the whole gang is eating at the apartment like they normally do. Everyone's on their phones scrolling through something, and Amy's the only one who isn't. And then she says, "Can we maybe put the phones down and have an actual human conversation?" And Sheldon looks up right away and says, "We can, but thanks to Steve Jobs, we don't have to." That episode aired in January of 2014, which was 12 years ago, and it was already a joke back then. Already something we recognized enough to laugh at. We saw it, we knew what it was, we thought it was funny. Well, last Tuesday, a jury in Los Angeles decided it wasn't funny anymore. Meta and YouTube were found liable, negligent. A 20-year-old woman named Kaylee, identified in court only by her initials KGM, testified that she started using YouTube at age 6 and Instagram by age 9. By the time she finished elementary school, she had posted 284 videos. By the time she was 10, she was experiencing anxiety and depression. Body dysmorphia followed. Suicidal thoughts followed that. The jury on this deliberated for 9 days, over 40 hours. And they came back and said, yeah, the design of these platforms was a substantial factor in causing her harm. Meta, 70% responsible, and YouTube, 30%. And they found that both companies acted with, quote, malice, oppression, or fraud. Well, the internet lost its mind. Ironically, talking points about this are on social media like YouTube. Parents shared the verdict everywhere. Commentators are calling it a turning point, a reckoning, big tech's big tobacco moment. And the damages? $6 million. Just $6 million. Meta made $15 billion last quarter. $15 billion in just 3 months. $6 million to Meta is kind of like a parking ticket to you and me. Actually, it's less. At least a parking ticket is a percentage of something real. Maybe this is more like a tip at a restaurant where you aren't talking to your family at the table. So here's the trap check question for us today. Is this a victory, or is $6 million the most expensive distraction money can buy? Here's what I want you to pay attention to, because the media coverage mostly isn't. This trial produced internal documents, memos, emails, communications from inside Meta that the jury actually read. And these documents are the story, not the verdict, not the dollar amount, the documents. One of them said this, quote, "If we want to win big with teens, we must bring them in as tweens." Tweens. We're talking about 9, 10, and 11-year-olds. Kids who still have stuffed animals on their beds, kids with little prefrontal cortexes, the part responsible for impulse control and long-term decision-making, won't be fully developed for another decade. Meta knew that, and their internal strategy document used the word bring them in, not serve them, not provide value to them, bring them in at 11 years old. Another document showed that these 11-year-olds were 4 times more likely to keep returning to Instagram compared to other competing apps. 4 times. And Instagram's own policy says you have to be 13 to create an account. So they knew kids under 13 were on the platform. They tracked their return rates. They measured their stickiness. And they didn't plan to do anything to stop it, because stickiness was the point. Now I want to put a framework to this from Chase Hughes. It's pretty textbook, and if you don't know who Chase Hughes is, look him up. He's pretty smart and he knows a lot about communication. What Meta was running on children, kids, is an identity hacking operation wrapped in a micro-compliance loop. Here's how it works. You get a young person on the platform before their identity is fully formed, before they know who they really are. And then the algorithm, the infinite scroll, autoplay, the notification pulse, the beauty filter, the like counter, all of that is designed to answer the question that every 10-year-old is desperately trying to answer. Am I okay? Am I enough? Do people like me? The platform doesn't answer that question. It can't. But it creates the sensation that the answer is one more scroll away, one more post away, and one more like away. And because the answer never arrives, because the design specifically prevents the answer from arriving, the child keeps coming back. That's not an accident, that's the architecture. Kaylee testified that she would buy likes. There were platforms where you could like other people's photos and receive a flood of likes in return. She was 10 years old, manufacturing the appearance of social approval because the real thing felt unavailable and the algorithm had trained her to need the proxy. Mark Zuckerberg sat in that courtroom and testified, under oath. He was asked about age restrictions and whether Meta could enforce the 13 and up policy. He said, and really hear this, he said there is a meaningful number of people who lie about their age to use our services. A meaningful number. Not, we have a problem we're trying to solve, not, we discovered this and it alarmed us. A meaningful number, passive, statistical, like it's just the weather. And Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, testified that he disagrees with the word addiction. He prefers the term problematic use. He said clinical addiction is different from spending too much time on the platform. Too much time. My guy is on the stand in a trial where a 20-year-old is describing suicidal thoughts she traces back to age 10 on this platform, and his contribution is vocabulary correction. Now here's the thing about the $6 million that nobody's saying out loud. It wasn't supposed to be $6 million. The plaintiff's attorney asked for $1 billion in punitive damages. $1 billion. The jury came back with $3 million in punitive damages on top of $3 million in compensatory damages. And 2 of the 12 jurors voted for the defense on every single question. The jury foreman, a guy named Matthew, said he tried to keep their emotions out of it, followed the law. One juror named Victoria said that she wanted the companies to feel it, wanted them to know that it was unacceptable. I believe her. I believe the jury meant it, but here's the structural problem. This was a bellwether trial. That's a legal term. It means a test case, a first shot that tells everybody what the battlefield looks like before the full army shows up. There are over 1,600 similar cases waiting behind this one. School districts, state attorneys general, individual families. And what the bellwether just told those 1,600 cases is, you're going to win. And the number is going to be small enough that they can afford to lose. That's not a legal victory. That's a business calculation being handed to the defendant. So what does a real reckoning actually look like? Because I'm not cynical about the verdict. I'm not telling you the jury was wrong or that the families celebrating outside that courthouse were wrong to celebrate. Kaylee showed real courage. 9 days of deliberation, 40 hours of work, a unanimous -2 finding of malice and fraud. That matters. It's real. It happened. The first time in history a jury has held these companies liable for design decisions that harmed children. But I want you to watch something specific over the next 6 to 12 months. New Mexico, the week before this verdict, hit Meta with $375 million. Different case, state attorney general, child exploitation laws, $375 million. Well, that number got Meta's attention in a way that $6 million just doesn't. And Meta announced it's appealing both. So here's what this tells you. They're not scared of losing. They're scared of a number that changes the math. They can absorb $6 million per case across 1,600 cases. That's under $10 billion, spread over years of litigation, tax deductible as a business expense. What they cannot absorb is if the New Mexico model, the state AG punitive damage calculated per violation, starts to replicate. That math gets to a place where the business model itself becomes the liability. So watch the appeals. Watch which cases the state attorneys general bring next. Watch whether Congress moves on Section 230. That's the legal shield that's protected these companies for 30 years. The plaintiff's attorneys in this case specifically targeted design flaws rather than content, specifically to get around Section 230. That strategy worked. It's going to be used again. And watch, this one I keep coming back to, watch what they do with the documents. Because that memo exists now. If we want to win big with teens, we must bring them in as tweens. That sentence is in the public record. Zuckerberg's testimony is in the public record. Mosseri's vocabulary correction is also in the public record. 1,600 plaintiff attorneys just got a detailed map of the inside of the building. That's the real verdict, not $6 million, the discovery. And here's my honest read on where we are right now. The jury did something important. The documents are now public. The legal strategy around design liability is proven. The pipeline of cases is real and it's moving. But the celebration I'm seeing, the big tech's big tobacco moment framing, the victory laps, that's the trap. Because Big Tobacco's real moment wasn't the first verdict. Big Tobacco's real moment was in 1998. The Master Settlement Agreement, 46 states, $206 billion over 25 years. Changes to advertising, marketing to minors, public disclosure of internal research. That took decades, hundreds of cases, a generation of litigation. We're just now at the first verdict. We're at the restaurant looking over the table, realizing something is wrong. The jury just confirmed we aren't imagining it. But the family, they're still on their phones. The work is just starting. That memo said bring them in as tweens. Your kid is a tween, or your grandkid, or your neighbor's kid. And somewhere in a building in Menlo Park, California, 12 years ago, somebody wrote that sentence in a strategic document, and nobody in the room said, hey, stop. That's what the $6 million is about. Not the amount, the fact that we finally got to read the sentence. All right, that's it for today. Stay curious, stay honest, and stay human. And I'll see you on Monday. Hopefully. I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I'm trying to get an episode out now so that it'll hit next week. So we'll see you next week, or we'll see you after that. Thanks. Take care.